Hey everybody. Today on Mr. Alex's bookshelf we have an amazing interview with author Rebecca Balcárcel. Her book, The Other Half of Happy, is the recipient of the Pura Belpré Honor Award. What an amazing achievement. We're going to talk to Rebecca about her writing process, and we're going to take a deep dive into her book. We're going to learn something truly amazing about how one of her characters is based on her first crush. And we're going to learn a little bit about that individual as well. Won't you join me? By the way, stay tuned. At the very end, I'm going to tell you how you can win a copy of her book, absolutely free, thanks to our friends at Chronicle Publishing. Rebecca Balcárcel, my God, it's so good to finally meet you face to face. I feel like I know you after having read this book, The Other Half of Happy. How are you today?
I'm great, and it's a real pleasure to be here.
Really?
Yes.
Pleasure. Are you sure? Let's hope we can keep it that way, right?
We'll see. I'll let you know.
See, I feel like we have matching huipiles, right? Because your huipil in the back is very similar to the one that I have up here.
Yes, it's beautiful.
So, I didn't warn you about anything that happens on the bookshelf, but we have a tradition that we start with. The first thing we do is we play a game. Are you ready?
Oh, okay. I'm ready.
Yeah, this is not your standard interview. I'm sorry. Your publicist should have warned you.
How refreshing.
But, you stand up in front of students. You really should be used to just about anything.
It's true. You have to be on your feet, think on your feet a little bit. So
all right,
we'll see how I do. I'm nervous.
Well, you should be. The game we play is called Clear the Shelf.
Okay.
Isn't that clever, right? Clear the shelf.
Clear the shelf.
So the instructions are really simple. I ask you a series of questions that don't have anything to do with anything.
Okay.
You tell me the first thing that pops into your head.
Oh, okay.
Think of it as an icebreaker.
All right. Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
I better be.
Fruit Loops or Cheerios?
Cheerios.
All right, you already got one wrong. Favorite breed of dog?
Pug. I had a pug.
But is that your favorite breed?
Was that wrong?
No, there is no right answer. Was that your favorite breed?
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Most favorite city?
Oh man. I love the museums of New York, but I've been to Paris.
I'm sorry, you have to answer the question. I'll restate it. Most favorite city?
Paris.
That's a really good one. I loved Paris. When you were 10 years old, you wanted to be
Ooh. You know what? I think I wanted to be a psychologist very young. I knew what that was, and I thought that was fascinating. And I was reading books about it, and even college textbooks. I mean, by maybe 11, 12, I bought a college textbook at the half-price books on psychology, and I just started reading it.
So what happened, aside from the fact that you probably diagnose everyone you meet now?
Yeah, I think it spoke to my love of people and my curiosity about people, and that works as an author too. I mean, it turns out that authors almost demonstrate psychology in their characters. So I see how the psychology interest kept on going. But as soon as I got to college and found out that it was an actual science, I realized I was on the wrong train. And I switched to something like English.
Something like English, right?
Yeah, I have a checkered academic past that I eventually ended up with an...
Oh no, I mean, you opened up Pandora, you opened the box.
Oh no.
What's that checkered background?
Well, I dropped out of college more than once. I had kiddos. The first time I had a medical condition. And so I always tell my students, you do not have to do this perfectly sequentially. You do not have to do this in 4 years or your life is over, because it took me it took me a very long time.
A little while. It took you a little while.
Yes. And when I went to graduate school, I was already 30. And by then I had finally figured out that creative writing was what I wanted to be doing. Even if I wasn't paid for it or whatever, I wanted a life that had this creative project in it. So
And there's a big let's call it misnomer or the wrong idea out there about writers, that writers get paid thousands upon thousands of dollars. Grisham gets paid thousands upon thousands of dollars. Big
yes.
movie deals make thousands upon thousands of dollars. Writers don't get a lot of money. Poets don't make a lot of money. Poets don't make any money.
Right.
And that's where you started, right, in poetry.
It is where I started, yes.
Yeah, you have like starving artist embroidered on your forehead, don't you?
I do, which is why when I wrote a novel and got any money, I thought it was amazing. Because
the novel's pretty amazing.
Oh,
so
thank you.
We're going to talk about that in a second, but we're still playing our game.
Oh, right.
What's your biggest unfulfilled wish?
Oh, I'm lucky. I have fulfilled so many.
Yeah, but that's not the question.
That's not the question. That's right. You know what? I want to do the Camino de Santiago in Spain.
We can do it together.
Ah!
Oh my God.
How good a hiker are you?
Well, I mean, we have to go slow. I'm not, the best hiker in the world, but I think we can do it. I want to do it 7 years from now. Are you ready for that in 7 years?
In 7 years. I'll clear my calendar.
I turned 60 in 7 years, and Victor will be 11 years old, so it'll be perfect by then. We'll be able to do it.
I truly want to do it.
Oh no, I'm dead serious.
Yes.
I will do it for my 60th birthday, so I can't think of, and you can record our journey.
Oh wow, you have all the technical skill though.
And you have all the other skills that I don't have.
I would love to do it.
Oh my God, great. Yeah. And my husband can carry everything.
Oh, even better.
Right. Okay, it's a date for 7 years from now. If you were an animal, you would be a...
I've had this before and I didn't answer well.
You've had this question before. I mean, come on, I'm unique and special.
Dolphin? How about, yeah. They're smart, right. They're playful.
I'm gonna let you get away with that one because I have a different question. If others saw you as an animal, what would they see you as?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you haven't had that one before, have you?
No. Golden retriever, maybe?
Now, why would you say that?
People see me as happy and as friendly.
But golden retrievers are dumb.
I didn't know that. Wait, but they get
like
trained?
One of the dumbest dogs on the planet.
Don't they make good seeing eye dogs and,
They're very faithful. Now I know I'm going to get letters, but they're very faithful, very jovial, very loyal companions.
Okay. Well, it'd be nice if they were smart. I don't know what dogs are smart, I suppose. But
the border collie. Brilliant.
Border collie, yes. Shepherding instincts and
Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, wait, I don't know if people see me that way though.
Right, I have one last question, and this I think is the toughest one.
Okay.
You get arrested. You call your friends. What's the first thing they think that you did?
Oh, wow. I got arrested. Didn't pay traffic tickets.
If that's what you did, that's pretty lame.
It's not very exciting, I'm afraid.
That's good, because I'd hate to have to go bail you out for doing anything less, right? So now we're going to talk about the book. Look, I'm going to hold it out so everybody can see it. Right? Isn't it pretty? I love this cover. Who designed your cover?
The cover was a Venezuelan artist.
Venezuela. My parents lived for 17 years in Venezuela.
Wow. I used to have her name on the tip of my tongue and now I forgot. But
she's insulted that you can't remember. So you will email it to me and I'll add it in post in my closing remarks. Okay.
Yay. Thank you. She's
So a
amazing.
famous Venezuelan artist who actually did a gorgeous um, job on the cover. And for those that haven't read the book, the manatee and the guitar played very important parts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, and what's this thing up here?
Ah, the Pura Belpré Honor Award.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the Pura Belpré, it's named after a New York librarian who was Puerto Rican, and she's the first woman who gave story time in Spanish to the neighborhood kids. And so I'm learning all about her. But when I got a phone call from the committee, it's a national award, and this committee chooses winners. And the morning I got a phone call, oh, it was actually not the morning, it was late afternoon. And it was so late that I thought, I'm not getting that call. And I really didn't expect to get the call, but I just thought, today was supposed to be the day. If anyone was going to get a call, it would be today. And so I had given up on it. But then came the call and everyone cheering in the background. And I'm just so grateful.
You have to finish the thought, right? You got the honor.
I did. They said, you have received the Pura Belpré Honor Award. And honor
We
means,
studied English, professor, right?
I'll try for complete sentences.
There are
Yeah,
some sentences in the book. There's some amazing sentences in the book.
Thank you.
And now that I'm talking to an English professor, I have to tell you, English is my second language, right? Spanish is my first. I didn't learn English until I was 6 or 7 years old.
Wow.
And the hardest thing for me are the homonyms. I will write, I knew that, N-E-W, because I write how I play music by ear. And I have to go back and read it to catch it, and sometimes I don't catch it, and I rely on people proofreading for me because a homonym I will almost always screw up. Now the harder words I have absolutely no problem writing. I can write them easily, but those very basic building blocks are very hard for me. And then there are words that I don't know in English at all, that my first recall is in Spanish, and I will always translate. And just like there are words that are in English that I will always know in English first, and then I always have to translate into Spanish. And I kind of describe it as a huge jumble of one master language in my head that I keep flipping back and forth.
That's a beautiful thing.
And I'm often accused of writing in Spanish with Spanish cadence. In English. And when you read what I write, you kind of tell because the rhythm is different. It's not quite an English rhythm to it. And I like it. So if they don't like it, screw them, right?
And you know what? I've noticed people who have Spanish are at ease with the hard words of English because so many hard words are like SAT words, college words in English are Latin based. And so in Spanish, it is, something like pulmonary. That does not mean lungs to anybody unless they do know.
And we can rip words out like otolaryngologist, and it doesn't trip up on the tongue because
no problem.
We say things much harder than that day to day.
Yes.
So for those that might not be familiar with the book that not only won the Pura Belpré honor, but also won what other awards?
Oh, well, it's a notable book by American Library Association, and the Texas Institute of Letters declared it the best middle grade book. And so it won the Gene Flynn Award for middle grade fiction. And that would be by a Texas author, because I'm a Texas author. Let's see. Oh, the Americas Award, which is, again, it was the honor. So that's the silver medal version. And they like to honor books that particularly deal with Central America and the Americas, Americas as a whole. And so that's their niche, is to look for books that deal with that experience. There's a couple others. I've been really pleased with all the love the book is getting. The Junior Library Guild also made it a selection.
You got a star review too.
A book list gave a star review, and School Library Journal gave a starred review. Yes.
So for those people out there that haven't read the book, why don't you give us the elevator pitch?
Okay. The Other Half of Happy stars Quijana. She's a 12-year-old half Guatemalan girl. Her mother's born in the United States. Her father's born in Guatemala. And so this wasn't a problem for her when she was little, but suddenly the Guatemalan cousins have moved to town, and it's occurred to her that she is monolingual. And how did this happen? And it's occurred to her family that she has grown up very Americanized. So suddenly she has a bit of an identity struggle. And the worst thing in the world that could happen is going to happen. Her parents are going to take her on a trip to Guatemala, where she can't speak the language and she can't understand anybody. And so she feels like she'll just be a failure from first tortilla to last. So she's not going. And you have to read the book to find out.
This is obviously a child who's never been to Guatemala, right? Because Guatemala is one of the most beautiful countries in the world.
Yes, she's crazy for not wanting to go, but
so
but that's 12.
Professor, should I call you Quijana from now on? How much of this book is you?
It's very autobiographical, yes. Although I always loved to go to Guatemala, and I've only been about 3 times. I'd like to go more. But still, there's a huge autobiographical element, yes. And I feel like people who have read the book do know something deep about me. Now, of course, my real life had a little less drama, because a book needs some drama.
Well, this book has a lot of drama in it, but I don't want to give the drama away.
Right. Yes.
Because,
yeah.
You have to earn your drama.
Okay.
In my book, you have to earn your drama, right? We don't just give it away here on the bookshelf.
Yes.
How did the book come into being? Tell us about the process. What happened? You woke up in the middle of the night screaming, "I have to write a book"?
No, sort of, no. So my real father is from Guatemala. My mom met him in the Peace Corps when she was stationed there for 2 years in the late 60s. And I never thought much about that story. Of course, it's just my parents met that way. But as I was writing these poems, and I wrote poems for about 20 years, I noticed that the best ones were about this aspect of my heritage. And so
Just a heritage that you were exposed to? Was it a heritage you were familiar with? I mean, where were these poems coming from?
More to do with my own feeling of being in 2 worlds, or having a split within myself, or not knowing, am I Latina enough? Do I belong? You know, when I visit my father's family, am I feeling comfortable? They were in real life very inclusive and totally loving, and but I was still La Americana. I was still, they had to switch into English for me. And so the poems explored moments like that, or the moment that my grandparents, my abuelos, visited to Texas, flying all the way from Guatemala City.
Yeah, we're talking about maybe an hour and a half.
Oh, yes, all the way. Well, you're right.
3 hours to Washington, D.C. It's maybe an hour and a half to where you are.
And there's now direct flights, or there were direct flights.
They still have to stop in El Salvador to get here. But,
there was a direct flight. American had a direct flight, I think, American Airlines. But no, you're right. El Salvador, you're right. We did stop in El Salvador.
We know everything at Mr. Alex's bookshelf.
You know this even better than I do. But when my abuelos...
microphones before you hang up.
Okay.
I told you, your publicist really should have warned you.
You're right. This is very fun, actually.
I'm glad.
But when my abuelos came in real life to visit, I couldn't talk to them. And so moments like that did come into my poetry, and I wanted to explore that. And then people erasing my Latinx side is not comfortable either. So if people just assume that I, let's say they make a remark about immigrants in front of me, thinking that it's somehow safe to say this in front of me, not knowing that my father is an immigrant, and that I may not agree with them about this
But
insulting.
people like you and me can pass. I mean, I have
Yes.
to do color correction on these videos because my skin bounces off these lights so much that I come out ultra pink. And that's with a ton of powder on and having studied theater and knowing how to do lighting.
Hey.
Because if I don't do the color correction on them, I come out looking like a lobster. But, what color is Cuban, right? Cuban
Yes.
is not a color. Cuban is an ethnicity.
Right.
So I completely get being spoken about when you can pass for something else. And, it's funny, and this doesn't give anything away, but Quijana does get referred to, I believe, if I remember correctly, as a coconut at one point in the novel. And I've been called an inverted coconut, right? White on the outside, brown on the inside, which is the badge that I wear with honor because, how much whiter can you possibly get than the boy who's talking to you in a standard American accent?
Yeah.
Well, that standard American accent is affected because I learned it in undergrad when I was studying theater. Now, get a couple of drinks in me and talk to me at 9 o'clock at night, and you may have a different accent speaking at you, right? Or take me to Spain, and the accent will sound Castilian when I speak in Spanish because I can do those morphs. But people take a lot of liberties when you can pass, and I get that. I get that feeling of otherness.
Yeah.
So it evolved from your poetry.
Yes.
And I've seen some of the of your posts on YouTube, and I know that you sent it around for queries, and you got a wonderful, I think it was agent, who talked to you and said, this is good, but it needs work.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
So I sent queries to 20 agents, and it only takes one, by the way, aspiring writers. Okay, don't give up. But she did look at a manuscript of about 25,000 words. The finished manuscript is 60,000 words. So it really did need work.
Right, except it's not, I don't want to put off people by saying that it's 60,000 words because it really isn't that long. It's 317 pages, if I remember correctly, or 314 pages. I usually have a pretty good memory for stuff like that. 317 pages. It's a light read. If you're an adult, you can probably read it in 2 sittings. If you're a middle grade, although I would even say it goes up to young adult, you could. It doesn't have sex in it, so that's why it's a middle grade novel.
Yes, but
they can do it in a week.
Yeah, I think so. And it's short chapters, and but my agent said, this is really still poetry. Like, this feels like a stack of poems, and you need to connect these scenes, and you need to have an arc, make sure your arc is clear. And there was already a character arc, but there wasn't the character didn't really have a goal back in those very early drafts. And I actually teach creative writing, so I can't believe I sent her a draft where the character lacked this kind of basic plot element.
Well, shouldn't treat themselves either.
No. So I did send her really a poetry manuscript, and she said I would be so excited to read this after you turn it into a novel. So I spent a summer fleshing it out.
Good, but I need you to actually write a novel.
Yes, exactly. And she worked with me beyond that. I mean, I actually have a picture of, let's see, I don't know if you can see.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so there's some of my drafts.
Lady in the picture.
And this is my agent right here. And this is my editor, Taylor.
Wow, we have the whole family there.
Ta-da! So it went through at least 4 full rewrites with the agent before we even tried to go out and sell it. And after it was bought, and there were rejections in that process too, many rejections. But after it was bought, I worked with the editor, and that also 2 or 3 top to bottom rewrites again. And wow, I learned so much about
It was bought
plot.
by Chronicle, which doesn't suck, right? I mean, that's high praise
Yes.
from me. When I say something doesn't suck, that's anybody who's ever taken a class from me or has been an actor that I've directed knows that if I say it doesn't suck, that's incredibly high praise.
We're happy.
So Chronicle
Chronicle.
bought the book. You went through the editing
Yes.
process. How did you know when the book was done?
You know, they cut me off. They had to. So you go through editing, but then there's also copy editing, and then there's proofreading, and these are all different people at Chronicle. And then they had a sensitivity reader as well, making sure, not only ethnicity, but neurodiversity is in the book, and there's a gay character, there's a Black character. So it went through all of that. And
yeah, by the way, that gay character.
Oh, good.
Well, it wasn't a snaps props. We're going to talk about him when we start. I don't want to give away too much, at least not now. Maybe we'll talk about him later, but no, you did a good job. Yeah, I don't want to tell you didn't do a good job. No, you did a good job, but I was like, really? Let's just say I recognized him right away.
And that was tricky to write, that he come off as genuine.
You did a good job. He didn't come out fey or anything like that. No. That's not what I'm talking about. You'll see. You'll see what we talk.
And I will add that the book is dedicated to my real life gay best friend, upon whom that character is based.
Awesome.
Yes.
Did he like it?
He did. He read one of the early drafts, not the 25,000 word draft, a little further in.
So he hates you and he didn't read. Oh, I'm so sorry.
He's left us now, but
he got to read a draft.
He did, yes. He put his approval on it and the name of the character and everything. He said, "Yeah, I'm happy with that."
That's wonderful, and that's such a wonderful treasure that you're able to keep.
Yeah, and we met in 7th grade, just very much as in the book.
That's wonderful. Was he one of your first crushes?
Oh, he was. Absolutely, he was. And we did go to prom together. Because
as long as you have those memories of him and this book is around, he's alive with us.
Exactly. Yes.
And what a wonderful way to memorialize that friendship forever.
It really is. Yeah. I feel close to him.
And thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's such a wonderful tribute to your friend. All right, so before I start to cry, because I am a crier, so they had to tear the book from your hands, basically, is what you told me.
You don't, once they say this is done, you cannot change anything else.
That's what a little moment to make more changes.
Yeah, I was like, wait, maybe there could be a word that's wrong. But I had read it so many times by then. I was also a bit ready to let it go. Just a little panic that maybe you can always improve.
Maybe it sucked, right? I mean, come on.
Maybe. Right. Yeah. What if it's bad?
We all have those self-doubts.
Yes.
How could you not have that self-doubt? You have a team that's cheering for you.
Yes.
And they're all there because they want you to succeed, but the public hasn't read it. So who knows? Well, I'm going to read the first almost 2 paragraphs of the book. And the question that I'm going to ask you after that is, how would you describe your style? All right?
Okay.
I lived in a tilted house. A bowling ball on our living room floor would roll past the couch, past the dining table, all the way to the kitchen sink. And if the sink wasn't there, and the wall wasn't there, and the bathroom behind that wasn't there, the ball would roll all the way to my room at the end of the house. That's what it's like being 12. Everything rolling toward you. Quijana, Mom's voice thuds against my door. Mija, Dad calls. It's not really our house. We rent. But even if the doors hang crooked and won't close, And even if mom never comes home till bedtime anymore, and dad looks tired when he cleans up after supper, I like this tilted house. So before you answer that question, I have to tell you what happened when I was first reading the book. I normally do 1,000 things at once, right? I read a book, I watch TV, I pay attention to my 4-year-old, and my husband makes dinner and feeds me because I'm a multitasker. Can you say ADHD, right? So I read those 2 paragraphs and I paused the TV because heaven forbid I should turn it off. And I turned to Alejandro and said, stop what you're doing. And I read them out loud to him and I said, what the other word is this? Because in those 2 paragraphs, there was a lyricism in the prose that I hadn't read since I read Tennessee Williams' short stories. And I have a book of his collection of short stories that I love, and I go back and I reread every so often. And then I couldn't do anything except read the book. I had to like go turn everything else off. So you're responsible for like taking up my time, right? I mean, normally I just kind of look at these and they don't take up my full attention. Because you are a poet, and I don't blow smoke. When I don't like something, it's very clear on the blog. I'm pretty brutal about it. And that poetry kind of transcribes itself into the prose. Mm-hmm. That's how I would describe it. You tell us right away, there is something different here. And in those 2 paragraphs, you're conveying so much. How would you describe your style?
Wow. Thank you, by the way. I don't think anyone has told me about their reading experience like that. So,
yeah, okay, whatever. This isn't about me.
Okay.
How would you describe your style?
I think voice is key for me. I revised every line to try to be in the voice of the 12-year-old. I use a lot of imagery. There are some kind of natural symbols that come out. But I think the lyricism you're talking about is harder to describe. I use short sentences followed by longer ones. I mean, there's a, in music, you need to have contrast and you need to have underlying rhythm, like a sense of expectation, but then twisting the expectation. You need to have momentum building up sentence by sentence. I read the book aloud a lot.
You need to use punctuation too, right? Because
yes.
I mean, I know how to read. I studied it in college. I do have a minor in theater, and all I had to do was read the punctuation and things kind of make sense.
Uh-huh.
And there's a rhythm that's built in there. But there's a very particular voice and a very particular style to the writing, and it falls somewhere between poetry and prose. Mm-hmm. Professor, let's put on our professor. Is there a way to quantify that? I mean, is in the genre, is there something that we would call that?
I mean, I didn't scan any lines, or even when the book was poetry for real, fully. I think that my ear is trained in the poetry, and so some of these sentences, I can't help but the poetry training is coming out. But what would I call it? What would I label it?
There's no meter, and you're definitely there's definitely in free verse. But I've read some of your poetry before, and your poetry is pretty much free verse. It's not, at least what I've read, not really. It's not Dr. Seuss.
No, there's no rhyme typically.
Sometimes there's no reason either.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No.
So
Yeah.
I think what we have here is a hybrid model. And, you know, I want to ask you more things about this book because you kind of pissed me off in a few places.
Uh-oh.
Um, but I don't want to spoil it for the people who haven't read the book. So, do you mind coming back for a second part where we take a deep dive into the book?
I would love to. Let's do it.
Well, you know what? That's great. I'm glad that you're taking me up on your offer. We are going to take a deep dive into this book. The rest of you, you can join me back at the desk. I'm going to put a note at the end of this interview saying that there's a second part. The professor and I are going to keep chatting, but you are not going to be privy to this unless you've read the book. Then you can come back and watch the second video. So we'll see you next time, and have fun. Don't forget to join me at the second half or at the post note, because guess what? There's a contest. And I'm going to tell you the details of the contest so that you can get a free copy of this book from Chronicle. Yep, but you got to watch. I think you figured out that I really enjoyed that interview. You never know what you're going to get when you ask a question, and the last thing I expected was to get such a revealing look into the life of the author, vis-a-vis one of the characters in her book. Who knew what the backstory on Jayden was? I certainly didn't expect that Jayden ended up taking Professor Balcárcel to the prom, or what a sweet, poignant moment we shared when she told us about who she dedicated her book to. Authors are real people with real lives, and we see their lives in the books that they present to us. Truly an amazing moment. It's amazing how they memorialize the relationships for an eternity. So you're probably wondering how you can win a free book or a free copy of Professor Balcárcel's The Other Half of Happy. Well, all you have to do is hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Well, that's not really all you have to do. You also have to follow the link in the description box and subscribe to Mr. Alex's Bookshelf via the email subscription link on our blog site. It's right there in the description box below us. I always seem to have a difficult time saying the word box. Don't know why. So it's a couple of steps. Hit subscribe, like the video, go to the link for the blog, and subscribe to receive email notifications for the blog as well. That's Mr. Alex's Bookshelf. We're going to keep that contest open until right before Hispanic Heritage Month on September 14th, 2020. So if you're watching this video after September 14th, 2020, I'm sorry, but the contest already closed. By the way, our partner in this, Chronicle Publishing, wants me to remind everyone that you're only eligible if you are in the United States and Canada, and I'm reading here. If you are affiliated with Chronicle Publishing or Mr. Alex's Bookshelf in any way, you are not eligible. Again, you're eligible to if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the blog. You can follow the link in the box below and subscribe to the blog as well. By the way, on the blog, lots of reviews for lots of different books, picture books, young adult novels, middle grade novels, everything you can do to help your child develop a love of reading. Because remember, on Mr. Alex's Bookshelf, we think the word parent is not just a noun, it's also a verb. See you soon.